All right, ladies and gents, I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to let Rach lead the open.
Oh,
We've tried
man.
4 times, and each time she's like, nope, start over. This one's not good enough. Go ahead, Rach.
Listeners, I am so rusty at this. And we just podcasted not too long ago, but
Yeah.
welcome to season 4, season 4 of Summers Off. We are so excited to be back. Maybe too excited.
Maybe.
Maybe. I don't know.
Keep having to adjust the gain. Keep having to
man.
start over because we get off the rails already. Woo!
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. I'm excited to hear those outtakes. Those were great.
Oh, they're going to be fun.
Yeah, stay tuned after.
Yeah, we'll have something for you. Yeah, so this is
Like I said, we are rusty. Stay with us.
But the
Stay
funny thing
with
is, I
us.
taught theater speech and taught about voiceovers. But I'm like, this is season 4 after our extended season 3
Yeah.
through the COVID madness.
Yes.
Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully it helped you get through those tumultuous months. But we're back. We're going to do a little summer action. We'll have at
Yeah.
least 10 episodes coming your way here. And we're kicking it off with a bangarang. Godfather. Riz, give me a bit of Godfather. Come on.
Ooh, that was really good, hon.
Riz, now's your turn. Go ahead.
That was probably the best one I've heard you do so far, Michael.
You talk about vengeance. Is vengeance gonna bring your son back to you? Or my boy to me?
So this is going to be one of our infamous 2-parters. Just like we did with Terminator, our first season. We did Terminator 1 and 2 back to back. We're doing the same thing here, baby. We're going Godfather 1 and 2. Rach claims she saw the movies. The whole time, whenever something crazy would happen, I'd be like, did you know about that one? And then eventually she started to get spiteful, and she's like, I know this is going to happen. I was like, damn it. Yeah, I bet she blows up in that car soon, doesn't she? I was like, oh, dang it.
Yeah, to clarify, so I may or may not.
You did not watch the movie.
The jury is still out.
No,
on
the jury's
whether
not out. The
I have
defense
seen
rested.
this.
The verdict was you have not seen the movie.
I feel pretty good about it. I've seen, I think, 50% of the movie in clips. So here's what I watched, listeners.
Yeah,
This
tell
was,
them what you watched.
I don't know what channel it was on. Probably AMC or Turner Classic Movies, something
Yep.
really cool like that. During the summer when I have all my free time to watch movies. And what they did was they took all 3 Godfather movies, 3 movies, and kind of spliced them together and tried to tell the story in chronological order. So I think that means like maybe the 3rd one then was first.
See, if she watched the movie, she'd know the
Oh.
answer to these questions.
Anyway, so they put them in order of the story, right? So yeah. But then they cut out like a lot of like extra like little stuff.
A lot.
But it's still probably 6+ hours. So like
No, you did not watch a 6-hour documentary.
No, but I mean, I'm saying it in its entirety of what they showed was probably 6-ish hours. I didn't watch all of it. But,
Okay, yeah.
But anyways, I saw a lot of the famous scenes. I have a good gist of the movie. Ty claims, he's like, oh, we're going to do this for Summers Off. And I'm like, all right. But this season, I think there's going to be quite a few selections that we have for each other that don't follow our typical format. Ty, tell the listeners who might be new, chiming in for the first time, what's our shtick, our gimmick for this podcast? Why should they listen to us?
Yes. So you should listen to us and not those other more knowledgeable film podcasts because boo knowledge. You don't want it.
Boo
We
the
know
experts.
it. You want entertainment. So we are a husband and wife duo who are both educators. So we usually have our summers off. Well, this summer, sometimes theater gets in the way. But we try to create lists of movies for each other. And we've done this really since we started dating. Like this was an early incarnation for us.
Mm-hmm.
It was my excuse to try to trick her into hanging out with me. I'd be like, hey, have you seen Brave Little Toaster before? She's like, yeah, I've seen it already. It sucks. I'm like, yeah, of course it does. Yeah, I agree. Do you want to see Three Ninjas? She's like, I've never seen that. And then we'd watch it and she'd be like, that movie sucks. And so this is kind of like what we've done for each other for a long time. And we decided to make it into a podcast.
Yeah,
and
make money off of it.
make tons of money to fuel all of Rach's hobbies.
Plastic surgery.
Plastic surgery. She's getting into like sewing and stuff. She's bought all new sewing equipment. I just say that because we just literally got in a battle the other day about sewing. What was it? A tear in my pocket.
It was a pocket. Listeners, I don't know,
Tell them the story.
ladies.
This is
I'm
a fair
talking
detour.
to ladies in particular, but I don't know any of you who have husbands who are like willfully inept at certain things. It's like, oh, I could learn how to do this, but I would rather watch you do it. And so we got into a long debate about how Ty was going to watch me stitch this little pocket up, and he was going to have to learn how to do it. So in the future, he could do it himself. And it went on and on and on. Yeah.
And that's because there's a backstory to this. I worked in a costume shop, and I loved the person running the costume shop in undergrad. Linda, if you're listening, you were the best. But I hated working in the costume shop, though. Like, it wasn't the people, it was the job. Like, I hated doing it. I made a scarf where I cut 3 pieces of fabric, and then I just, like, on a sewing machine, just ran it through, like, 3 times. And then
You Frankensteined it?
Yeah, I Frankensteined it. It looked terrible. And I'd wear this scarf around all the time. So anyways, it's not an ability that I'm good at. It's not an ability that I think I'll ever be good at. And it's not really a skill I wish to acquire. So, and how I phrase it to Rach, so it's like, look, if I was working on electrical, I mean, you wouldn't want to learn, would you? And she was like, I actually wouldn't mind learning that. I was like, damn it.
Moral of the story is we sewed the pocket. Ty watched it. He knows how to do it.
I know how to do it, but I'll probably fight and resist doing it next time it happens as well. So, anyways, I don't know how we got on this topic,
Oh, boy.
but this is what we do. We do a lot of
listeners.
detours. We talk a lot of trivia. We have a lot of fun. So that's the whole purpose of the podcast.
Yes.
It is. Yep. It's how we try to keep the marriage, fresh and spicy. Sometimes we make out on the podcast, and so you just have to listen for those sounds, and that can be fun too.
Yeah. Welcome aboard.
Welcome aboard. But our first one for season 4
is
quite possibly one of the greatest films of all time.
So they say.
So they say.
So they say.
Now, this is interesting. Now, folks, if you were the first-time listener, this happens sometimes where Mortal Kombat comes up and there is vitriol in the room. There are conflicts. Ty destroys Devil Wears Prada. There is some heavy-duty conflict that happens that you get to listen to. And I'm interested if today's going to be one of those days. Rach, give us an update, though. It's been a few months. Oh gosh, what's the name of the movie? Big Trouble in Little China, still the worst movie of all time.
Oh boy.
Did you see anything to steal the mantle?
I can't think of anything. Is there anything that's coming to your mind that we've watched since? I don't think so.
No, I don't think
that's
so.
Still...
I mean, not for me. It's not the worst movie to me, ladies and gentlemen. It's just a Rage. Direct hate mail to Rage.
Especially in what we've reviewed on our podcast, yeah, that's still the worst.
Okay.
I have to search my heart of hearts if I've seen anything worse than that since. It's possible.
Yep.
It's possible. But right now, that's it.
And Double Dragon, still the most fun, worst movie of all time?
Yeah. Well, until this season. Oh, you just win.
Oh, nice.
I got some doozies for you.
Okay, very fun. Awesome. So, Rach, get listeners into the ambiance of Godfather. And tell us a little bit about the summary of The Godfather in the best. You don't have to be, I don't want to say succinct.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to put that pressure on you. But like, keep it spicy, keep it moving. What did you think? What's your summary of The Godfather?
Yeah, I know I'm in trouble because I'm already forgetting people's names.
No, that's okay.
And
there's a lot of names.
There are.
Hey,
so
Tommy Two Toes, and then there's Ginny Four Flies, and there's...
Yeah, it's going to be one of those. So I'm going to like weave in and out of like the actors' names and then their characters' names.
Okay.
And listeners, just buckle up. Sorry. Try to follow along.
Yep.
So we have this mob family. Scene opens, cut to daughter's wedding. While mob boss
Do you
Don
notice how long
Corleone,
that scene was?
The wedding scene?
The wedding scene takes a long time.
Yeah,
It's like
20 minutes.
25 minutes,
Yeah,
yeah.
the beginning, the setup. We're introduced to this mob family who's the patriarch, is played by the Marlon Brando, and he's fantastic. And anyways, he's just doing his business dealings, and we're just kind of understanding the dynamic in the family. There are 2 biological sons that he has, and then 1 kind of adopted son.
3 sons.
Oh, 3 sons, yeah, 3 bio. Fredo. How'd you know I was forgetting Fredo?
Because everybody forgets him.
Everyone
He leaves
forgets
for most of the movie.
Fredo. Yeah, Fredo. 3 bio sons, 1 adopted son, and then a daughter or a couple daughters.
Yep, 1 daughter.
Yeah, 1 daughter
Who's
that's at
getting
least
married.
in the movie. Anywho.
Yep.
Yeah, and then so we've got a brother who is in the 2 brothers that are 3 brothers that are in the business, and 1 that is a bit of an outsider, more of a civilian coming back from war, doesn't really want to get into the family business, a little bit resistant to that. Well, certain events happen that force his hand, and by his hand I mean the youngest brother, Michael.
Yep,
Is he the youngest?
Yep.
Michael, played by Al Pacino. Al Pacino. And yeah, so he has kind of this conflict. It kind of centers around him a bit, but then also Marlon Brando too. They're kind of my 2, I think, the 2 mains in this one.
For sure.
And him being resistant to wanting to join the family business, but having to because his family essentially comes under attack from not only the other mob families,
The 5 families.
the 5 families. Basically, the mob families have to decide if they're going to get into narcotics or not. Right now, they're just in the casino business. And
liquor.
And liquor.
Yeah.
And what was that?
I
Is
just
that
said
Irish?
No, I don't know. I wasn't trying to do a dialect.
And liquor.
No, I wasn't trying to do a dialect,
Weren't you?
but I knew you were gonna call me on it right when I did. And liquor.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know how else so essentially what you see is this transformation of the youngest character really stepping into his father's shoes and essentially at the very end kind of becoming his own version of this Godfather.
He's the new Don. They're all kissing
He's
his
the
hands
new
and
Don,
stuff.
yeah.
Don Corleone.
Don Corleone or Corleone? I don't know.
Corleone.
It's okay.
I don't know.
Again, listeners, this is the type of thing that you chose this podcast, and that's on you. So you have to accept some of the
You should be
responsibility.
ashamed of yourself,
We
number
don't
1.
know everything.
Yep.
But that's my caveat. So there.
It's probably Corleone if you're not Italian, and if you're Italian, you go Corleone. So it's probably both are
You're
correct.
very right. You're very right.
So this is a movie that I got into in late high school. So Goodfellas was college.
Goodfellas.
Goodfellas.
For the
That's
those who
it
don't
almost
know.
sounds Russian sometimes. Yeah, Goodfellas.
Maybe it's Goodfellas.
So Goodfellas was college, really brutal. Let's get real wild.
Yeah.
But this was high school for me. Like I was very cultured as a high schooler. I watched both the Godfather movies. My dad had a double VHS set. And folks, if you don't know what VHSs are, you should do some research because I'm not going to tell you. It's not my job to educate you.
Do your history.
So, they had one of those double VHS sets. Did you guys have any double VHS sets in the Heisterkamp household?
Not at my household, but my grandma had Gone with the Wind. That was a doubler.
For sure.
Titanic was a
Titanic
doubler,
was
wasn't
definitely
it?
a
Yeah,
doubler.
I didn't own Titanic because
Too many
of
boobies, right?
I was just gonna say because of the chi-chis. But yeah, boy, had I 2 VHSs. Wow.
You guys didn't have like the 10 Commandments on double VHS or
Why
anything?
would you think we had the
I don't
10
know. You
Commandments?
couldn't have Titanic because of the boobies, so I figured you probably had a lot of religious
What
stuff.
else could you have?
Yeah.
Nope.
So here's a little bit just about this movie.
Okay.
It's based off of a book. Rach likes to give me a lot of crap because she says my movies are never based on books and hers are. And
Usually based off
she
of video
wears
games.
She wears it like a badge of honor. She's like, yeah, so yours is always based off garbage and mine is based on books. So there was this guy. His name is Mario Puzo. Or Puzo, I don't know. Who knows?
Again, you chose this.
Yeah, you chose this.
This is
Be
not
ashamed
my
of yourself. And he had written like 3 books before this. All had critical success, but made pretty much no money. On those 3 books, he made $6,000.
Oh.
So that's really
Woof.
bad. That sucks when your career is as a novelist. Kind of reminds me as an actor. It's like, yeah, this is.
Oh, I wish.
Yeah, I'd give anything to
$6,000
make
bucks.
$6,000.
Oh, man.
I wonder if you totaled all my monies up, take the grad stipend out, just the work I've done for professional companies.
It's about there.
I think it's probably
It's right about there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Gosh, that makes you feel really pathetic when you think
Well,
about it.
Yeah.
But this guy, he's in his 40s. I'm in my 30s, so I've got 10 years on
We're
him.
in our mid-30s.
Yeah.
We have to start saying mid
No,
now.
no, we don't. We're
Yeah.
under mid-30. We're young mid-30. Can we say that? Can we agree
A
on that?
young mid-30s.
I feel like we're young mid-30s.
No, I'll take it.
Okay. So he was in his mid-40s and hadn't made any money off of his profession. And he decided he's going to dip into like the mafia world. Not like legitimately, but just writing about the mafia world.
Oh, yeah.
He's like,
Thank you for clarifying.
So he made this book called Mafia,
Uh-huh.
and Paramount instantly picked it up. And they gave him $12,000. So he doubled his life's work in one movie, in one book. That then they bought the rights to, and they said, if we ever make a movie to this, we'll pay you another $50,000.
I should think so.
And what's funny is, so that's like the amount that normal people make nowadays.
Yeah.
But I'd give anything to make $50,000. Like that would to me would be like an honest jackpot. I don't know if I'll ever make $50,000.
You will. You will.
So the director of this movie, do you know who that is?
Scorsese?
Nope. Nope. Scorsese's from what movie?
Departed.
Yeah.
And
Goodfellas. But for this movie,
I should know this.
no, it's okay. It's not like a you should be ashamed of yourself quiz.
I am.
This is Francis Ford Coppola.
Oh, I was not going to know that.
Oh, okay, good. But
That name sounds familiar to me. Like,
Yep.
oh, I've heard of that name, but I would not have remembered that.
you've heard of other movies that he's done.
No, I haven't.
Yeah, you have, you
There's
silly
no
goof.
way.
He did all 3 Godfather movies.
Okay.
Avi.
Avi.
And then he did Apocalypse Now, which I saw this summer. That movie also has Marlon Brando in it. It's really good. Like, I would maybe put it on the list. You don't like war movies that much, though, so I don't know.
I like good war movies.
This one is like a slow burn. It's like 3 hours.
Is it a lot of exposition? Or is it just a lot of, like,
It's a
battle
lot of
scenes?
like floating down this river, and like people are starting to go crazy, and like
Well, that sounds kind of
yeah,
interesting.
you might like it the more we talk about it. Did you like the movie Anacondas?
No.
With Jennifer Lopez?
I've never
Oh, you
saw it.
probably wouldn't like it. It's pretty much the same plot. I'm just kidding. People who have seen all those movies might enjoy
Did
that
you
comment.
like Anacondas?
He also made Bram Stoker's Dracula, which you said
Oh.
has one of the worst dialect jobs of all time.
Yes, Keanu has a terrible British in that. Google it, guys. It's fantastic.
He also made the movie. These ones you're gonna be shocked. The Outsiders.
Oh.
Awesome movie.
Wow.
Yeah, this would be a rewatch, but
That's
we
a bit
should
of a
do that
stretch.
movie at some point.
Yeah.
So many young stars. That movie would be
That's
awesome
a really
to do.
good one. Yeah, noted.
Another movie that he did, this one really sticks out. The movie Jack with Robin Williams.
What's the premise of Jack? I can't remember.
It's the
Is he a
one, it has
kid?
J-Lo in it. It's the
Wait,
one
what?
who's his teacher.
J-Lo's his teacher in
Yeah,
that?
and Jack, Robin Williams is like in 2nd grade, but he looks like a 40-year-old because he has this condition where he ages too much.
Yeah,
Like I think it's like 7 years.
Benjamin Button, but maybe
Yeah, but
different.
not the same. Like it's not like backwards. It's like he just ages exponentially. Yeah.
Yep.
You've never seen the movie Jack?
I have seen it, but I didn't remember that, and like Patch Adams kind of like mix up a
gotcha.
little bit for me.
You know, I don't know. I don't remember Patch Adams. That's the one he puts a little red nose on, right?
He's a doctor.
Yeah, he's a doctor. He puts a little red nose on.
Yeah,
I couldn't tell you
humor is the medicine.
anything about it. Really.
Oh, it's a sweet movie.
Yeah.
I think.
Sounds
I
dumb.
think I remember. I think I had it on VHS.
Oh, yeah, but it wasn't 2 VHSs.
Nope, just one.
Yeah, suck it. So he has done a lot of great movies,
Mm-hmm.
but not a ton of movies, though. He's just kind of more selective. He's
Mm-hmm.
like the Daniel Day-Lewis of directors. Why did you giggle about that?
I
You
don't-
giggled and then you had a straight face. What was the giggle about?
It was just a random.
Oh, it was a
Connection.
random giggle.
And I was trying to think, is that true? Is Daniel Day-Lewis pretty
Yeah.
selective, and does he
Daniel
only
Day's
just come
very
out and just
selective.
does a couple of movies that are all like
He's not
really
like
great?
He's
and
not
then
like
he
Liam
just-
Neeson and he makes a movie every 3 months. He's very selective.
Poor Liam Neeson.
I like Liam, but
He's
Liam
just trying
does
to hustle.
Liam does a lot of like bad movies that just pump him out. He's like what Nick Cage was a few years ago.
Oh, let's not. Let's
Speaking
not
of Nick Cage,
connect those
now this is
two.
crazy. Francis Ford Coppola is related to Nick Cage. I think he's like his cousin's son or something like that. So Nick Cage's real name is like Italian. I think his name is like Nicholas something. It might be Coppola. I don't remember, but it's something Italian.
Why wasn't Nick Cage in this film? I wonder.
Now that is the
I
question.
wonder.
That is the question that has been troubling me since I made this format.
God.
I'm right there with you.
Nick Cage.
So, Francis Ford was not the first choice for director, though.
Okay.
Their first choice for a director was Elia Kazan. Do you know who that is?
No, quick
Oh,
quizzing.
come on, Rach. Come
quit
on.
Quizzing me
Give it-
about directors.
Hey, come on, Rach. I need you to figure this out, okay?
Elia Kazan. Streetcar Named Desire.
Oh, I've heard of it.
Cat on a Hot Tin Roof.
Heard of that too.
He did all the great Tennessee Williams plays. He did them on Broadway and some of the movies.
Ilya Kazan?
Yeah, I think
Is
that's
it
how
Isla?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think it's Elia Kazan.
Okay.
My Broadway friends will be really mad at me because I
You're-
don't have that down.
You're in trouble now.
Mr. Kazan. But he turned it down.
Mm-hmm.
And Francis Ford actually turned it down when he first read it, too. Here's the reason why. He was reading the book,
Mm-hmm.
Mafia, by Mario Puzo. And he is reading through it, and there's a scene that's in the book that they did not put in the movie
Mm-hmm.
where, you know that chick that Sonny is bang-a-ranging up in the bathroom?
Yeah. Sonny is one of the sons. He's
Yep.
kind of a little scamp.
Yep.
Yep.
James Caan. And he is hooking up with this chick in the bathroom that he's having an affair with, and you see her later in the movie too. There was a scene in the book where she goes, it's pretty early on, she goes to her doctor
Uh-huh.
to get her plumbing checked out.
Uh-huh.
And then they end up doing it in the doctor's office. And Francis Ford threw the book down. He's like, this is smut. I have no desire to do this. It's not going to happen. So he'd actually turned it down too. And he only took the job thanks to George Lucas.
Oh. Are you going to quiz me about George Lucas now?
Oh, sure. Here, let's give you
we're
some
fine.
confidence.
Continue.
Rach, what's George Lucas done?
Star Wars!
Nice, nailed it.
Yes.
Nailed it.
One for the good guys.
So George Lucas was a film student at the time, and Francis Ford had just created this new studio, and he signed on George Lucas to do one of his first films at his studio. Lost tons of money. So because George Lucas and him were buddies, and he had taken a chance on him and lost all this money, he's like, oh, shoot, I got to go back to this stupid Mafia book again. So he read it again, and he's like, okay, I can see how it could be good. But he had a bunch of stipulations, so he did sign on to the project.
Well, good.
The studio wanted the movie done super fast. This is Paramount Pictures. They were like, we need this movie cooked.
Yesterday.
Yep, it should already be done. And Coppola told them in a meeting, because I think they were going to just give him a couple months to do it and just a couple $1 million. And he told them, he had this inspired speech. And he told them about why this needs to be their main picture that they put out for the entire year. And they bought it. They
Nice.
upped his budget to $6 million, and he had this
they
impassioned
did.
speech. Have you ever had a moment where, Rach, you've had a super impassioned speech and then you've gotten your way, in a board meeting type of setting?
No, I don't do really well in person at those things. I'm more of
What happens to you if that were to you're in a situation?
I start to talk and then I start to hear my voice out loud in my head.
Which
and
you have
then,
a very pleasing voice.
Oh, thank you. But then I start to get nervous and I try to keep calm, but then I start to feel my face heat up.
Yep.
And then my face gets bright red, and then I still try to remain calm, but I know that my face is blushing really bad, and so it just kind of snowballs. So I'm much better at a lovely email, well worded and phrased after the fact. That's
Yeah.
usually where I get my gits. I get my gits.
Yeah, that's where you get your gifts.
I get my gits in emails.
So, do you think, because and this is a question, I don't want you to get mad about it,
Oh no.
but when you're on Zoom, you talk super loud when you're in meetings. Is that the case when you're in person too? Are you literally shouting at people? Because that might be something I encourage you to work on. Yeah, so we've done this testing, and here's what we want to look at.
I can't believe that you are critiquing me for being too loud. You,
Go ahead.
Ty Hudson,
Go ahead.
are
Attack me.
critiquing
Yeah.
me for being too loud. Please.
Hey, no, don't say a word. Sorry, my son, he never learned to keep his mouth shut, keep his thoughts in his mind. He's always telling everybody how he feels.
Don't discuss the family business with anybody outside the family.
Fredo, you're my older brother, and I love you. But don't ever take sides with anyone against the family again. Ever.
Bear with us, listeners. We got a lot more
We
of
got
those
a lot.
coming.
Yep. That's not the end of those. So Francis Ford was threatened with like firing throughout the entire shoot because they kind of took a little bit of a chance on him. He really hadn't done any critical successes. Everything he had done had just flopped. I think this was his film number 5 for him. He started in the 60s. This is 72 when it comes out, just to give you a heads up. So he was threatened with firing throughout the shoot, and they went as far as they'd have people on set with him that would just kind of tail him everywhere he went, and they're like judging everything he did. They were these Paramount stooges. They would like go into the editing room at the end of the day to look through all the footage and like rifle through it and be like, this is all shit. And they would follow him around, and so he just felt like threatened that he was going to get fired the entire shoot. So they were always threatening to replace him.
Stressful.
The studio, one of the reasons was because they wanted a ton of action in this movie. So they like wanted Goodfellas for this movie. They wanted a lot of like blood, a lot of action, a lot of gunfights, all that kind of stuff. This movie called Mafia, or it was the book was called Mafia. They thought like it should be really wild.
Well, obviously.
Yeah. But Francis Ford was like, no, we got to tell this story. And he wanted to tell more like the family dynamic and stuff and kind of do the like slower burn with like intermittent sections of action and stuff like that.
I can appreciate that. You know I love exposition.
Yep. Rach hates a ton of action. She likes a lot of story.
It's necessary to a point, right? I would much rather have a really well-constructed story with characters that are interesting and dynamic versus just throwing everything, the whole budget at like a 20-minute car scene. I cannot stand car chase scenes that go above and beyond 3 minutes. Honestly, too much.
One scene that Rach really did appreciate, though, was in Lethal Weapon when that helicopter stopped that car. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go back and listen to our Lethal Weapon 1 episode. Wild ride.
That was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. I could watch that for like 20 minutes, probably.
So the studio finally got on board when they got to the scene in the restaurant. And they kind of filmed this somewhat sequentially. So you want to explain the restaurant scene?
Which restaurant scene? The one...
The big one where you were like, this seems like a good halfway point.
Yeah, yes.
Which, by the way, that was supposed to be the intermission right after that scene.
Oh.
So that makes sense that you were like,
Intermissione.
that feels like this should be a good stopping point. Yeah, because that was the built-in intermission, but then they cut it right before the film released.
Get it. Yeah, so the restaurant scene, essentially this is like Michael's turning point where he has decided that he is going to take up the family business and he is going to meet with this crooked cop and this other
the Turk.
He's like a mob boss. He's not really. He's like
into narcotics.
He's a narcotics guy. They're responsible for the near death of his father. So he's going in here with some vengeance. They don't really see it coming. I mean, they try to plan for it. They try to make it so like he can't have a weapon and. Lo and behold, he's got one hidden at the restaurant, and he's gonna
behind the toilet.
Yeah, he's gonna cap them. Is that saying that correctly? He's gonna cap them.
He
caps them in their heads.
Yeah, for sure. Very fun.
Yeah.
So that was the scene that was the turning point for the studio.
Oh, I can see that.
So the horse head happened before that. Like,
that was a great scene. What are you talking
horse
about?
Horse head starts right. That's like a half hour in.
Yeah.
Horse head happens way sooner than you think.
Yeah. I was not like fully ready to digest that yet, but there it was. Here we go. Godfather.
So, but once they saw that scene, they're like, okay, this movie's going to be pretty good. And they actually invested a little bit more, and they backed off from Francis Ford. But to talk about what a conflict this working with the studio was for Francis Ford, we got to get into casting. Okay. So,
back it up.
Coppola wanted Brando from the moment that he read the script. And part of the reason was because Mario Puzo, the writer, the original writer of the novel, he told Coppola, I picture Marlon Brando for this. So he like inceptioned it into his head right away. And then Francis Ford couldn't get it out of his head. He's like, yeah, we got to get Brando. We got to get Brando. But the studio, Paramount, hated Brando. They hated him so much because he had really bad behavior on set. He was kind of known to be like a huge douche tool. I couldn't find specific stories besides just general mentionings of
being difficult.
Of Brando was the hardest actor in Hollywood to work with around this time. He hadn't had a hit since like 62, and this is 72, so it'd been 10 years. And they actually let him direct his first movie. He did this movie called One-Eyed Jacks. What's One-Eyed Jacks about, Rach?
Dang it. One-Eyed Jacks follows the story. You would think it's of Jack. It's not Jack's story. It's actually John's story.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of like one of those butterfly transformation ones, and he ends up becoming One-Eyed Jack in the end. And you think, oh, that's bad. Like, you don't want to lose your eye, but he did.
Wait. You said Big Trouble in Little China's confusing. This one's confusing me.
It is. Yeah, and I haven't even gotten into like the rain god yet, or the thunder gods that come down.
There's gods in this one?
Yeah, demigods. But then there's also like a sci-fi element to it too.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Very
and ninjas,
exciting.
lots of ninjas.
Oh, okay. So it's a lot like that Big Trouble in Little China movie. But better, you'd say, because
I would say yes.
Yeah,
I would
okay.
say yes.
So
Marlon Brando directed it, so I would say yes.
One-Eyed Jacks, Rach approved. You should go check it out. Rach certified fresh. But they said after that movie, because it was just a train wreck, it cost so much money, did terrible critically, made no money at the box office. They're like, we're done with Brando. We're never having him ever again. They wanted Laurence Olivier.
I can't think of what Laurence Olivier looks like
He's
now.
the
I know
Shakespearean
him.
guy.
Yeah.
He did the blackface Othello that I watched earlier this summer.
Yeah.
And he did it was just one of the last things of blackface that happened in Hollywood.
That's probably a good idea.
He was Hamlet in the black and white Hamlet that everybody always talks about.
Yes,
I actually
yeah.
think he's a very boring Hamlet, to be honest with you. He did Mercutio though in that Romeo and Juliet that we watched with the Gone with the Wind guy was Romeo.
Yep, I got you now.
And he's super good as Mercutio.
Yeah.
Yep.
He is very good.
So, yeah, he famous Shakespearean actor. Wait, the more I'm thinking about it, I was like, oh, shoot. That might have been John Barrymore who played Mercutio. But Laurence Olivier definitely was the Hamlet.
Very good.
Yep. So, big Shakespearean actor, very well known. He actually played Big Daddy in one of the Cat on a Hot Tin Roofs that I watched, the made-for-TV movie.
Yes.
That was Laurence Olivier.
I was thinking there was something more recent that I had seen him in.
For
Yes,
sure.
He kind of looks like Colonel Sanders in it.
Yeah, he does. He does it in real life, but he does in that movie for sure. So they wanted Lawrence. They're still pushing on the Coppola side for Brando, though. So the studio finally says, okay, you know what? You want Brando so bad? Here's what we need
Why
from
don't you marry him? And I would say, okay.
They say, you wanted Francis Ford. We're going to have you come in. We're going to film you kissing him, and then we're going to release it to the public. No, that's not really what happened. So they said, we want three things. Number one, we want him to come in to audition, which is like a huge slap in the face for a person like Brando to say, come in and audition for something. He's like, no, I'm not going to frickin' audition for anything. You're going to give me the role.
I could see that.
That's number one. He's got to audition for it. Number two, he will not get any money for the role.
What?
If he wants it, he's going to not earn a paycheck for it.
What?
Yep. And then number three, and this was the one that they were like, he'll never agree to it. He'll walk. If he's crazy enough to agree to number two, he'll already be pissed off about number one.
Yeah.
He'll never agree to number two, but this is the kicker, like this isn't ever gonna happen. He has to put up money for insurance in case he walks off set. We want a certain amount of money allocated to the production that if he walks or he has bad behavior, we get to keep that money. And that will insure us of his decorum on set.
Wow.
So that was their stipulation. Francis Ford did not tell Brando about any of these things. He said, Brando, we'd love to have you. Not audition. We'd love to have you. We want you to come in and you're going to do a makeup test. We're going to put makeup on you and we're going to test out some things like character-wise and things like that. And he told the studio it was the audition, but he told Brando it's just the makeup test. So they brought him in, and that's when they actually talk about I think you should look like a bulldog.
Yeah.
Try putting this cotton swabs
in your mouth.
In your mouth. All that stuff happened during this makeup test. And he was really into the character. He thought it would be a really awesome character to play. So he was super excited about the role. He comes in and he just kills this audition. He's got the swabs.
He's talking like this. You mumble all his words. You can only hear 75% of his words.
And so he's just killing it. And the studio sees it and they're like, oh my God. We got to have Brando. So they dropped everything. They wrote up a contract. They're like, we got to get this guy.
Yes.
Yep. So it ended up not happening.
Oh
so,
my gosh.
yeah,
Can you imagine though, had
Ford.
Coppola had told him all those things? He wouldn't, no self-respecting actor would be like, oh yeah, let me do that.
For sure.
So thank goodness that he played that down the middle nicely. Wow.
Absolutely.
And that is a good director.
So Paramount also was difficult about other people that were auditioning too.
Okay.
The big thing was Michael.
Yeah.
And Michael, at this time, Pacino was not a big deal. Pacino hadn't done really anything film-wise. He was a Broadway star at this time. He had just done a movie. Well, he wasn't in movies because a lot of people didn't cast him because he's only 5'6".
He's very short, and playing opposite Diane Keaton, who is average, if not
A
tall.
little above average, maybe.
Yeah,
height? He's shorter than her
again,
for sure.
we don't need to like put men in a box. Men can be shorter than women. It's
For sure.
A-okay. But, I understand why maybe that was a hindrance to him in the
Yep.
business.
Yeah, for sure.
Makes sense.
So he's only 5'6", and he's doing a movie at this time called "Does a Tiger Wear a Necktie?"
No.
Rach,
Don't.
Rach,
No,
I
they
don't want you
wanna
to give me a
listen to it.
summary.
Oh, no.
I want you just to do one of the monologues from it. It's about a serial killer.
Well, first off, I give this movie an 89%.
It's a play.
It's fantastic play. Did I
Yep.
mention that I love this play?
Yep. And I think they have Italian dialects in it.
You're a devil. You do it. You do
No,
it. You
it's
want to do it so
okay.
bad, you go for it. You've got something.
No, I don't
You've got
have
it.
anything.
Go
I don't
on.
have anything.
Show
Does
it.
a tiger wear a necktie? I don't know. I'm crazy. No Italian there, but
You sound like John Travolta. Sandy.
oh my gosh.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Hey,
I'm
Mr.
crazy. I'll kill you. So there was a ton of other guys that were up for the role of Michael, though. Rach is looking at the levels. She's like, oh God, look at those levels.
That'll be fun.
So Paramount brought in so many people.
Ready.
Martin Sheen,
Yep, heard of him.
their top target. I should have let off with this one. Robert Redford.
Oh, sure.
Oh, Robert Redford's such a hunk.
He's so... Yeah.
Rach, we found this out later down the line where she was like, Robert Redford's really hot. And then there was a point in time where she's like, Brad Pitt's starting to look a lot like Robert Redford. They're both so hot.
Yeah, think
So
about it, people.
It's funny
true.
because she has this like tall, dark, skinny guy thing, which I always feel really confident about. I'm like, okay, good. I'm not going anywhere. But then there's the Robert Redford, Brad Pittism there. I'm like, oh gosh,
Yeah. Then there's
I'm
those
doomed.
blondies, those rugged...
who are the blondies?
blondie. I mean, Brad Pitt is kind of a blondie.
Yeah.
And I was going to say Paul Newman. Paul Newman is
Paul
kind
Newman,
of a blondie.
He's a blondie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Robert Redford, like, they're kind of like that, like, fair skin, not fair skin, fair haired,
Yep. Tanned,
rugged, blue-eyed.
leathery skin.
Yeah.
Working on the ranch.
Oh, yeah.
Wearing those blue jeans.
They would all be great in a ranch movie together. That would be great.
Robert Redford's like the old ranch hand. He's like, come on, boys.
I guess I didn't realize that Robert Redford was young enough to play Marlon Brando's son.
At this time, 72.
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah. It's just, I always think of Robert Redford as a certain age, and it's hard for me to go
'Cause
like...
You're probably thinking of like the 80s when he was really hot.
Yeah, that's kind
and
of
I guess
where
late 70s too.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did a lot in the late 70s as well. So besides Robert Redford and Martin Sheen, Martin Sheen's actually in Apocalypse Now, so that's kind of interesting. James Caan,
Yeah. Oh, for that one.
who
for that role.
plays
Sonny.
Yep.
The hot off the cuff. What's the phrase?
I don't know what you're gonna say.
Hot under
Hot-headed.
the collar. Yeah, hot-headed, just like...
Hot under the collar?
Yeah.
Is that a thing?
Yeah.
He's hot under the collar.
Yeah.
Would you say that sometimes I can be hot under the
You
collar?
can get hot under the collar sometimes. Fly off the handle.
Fly off the handle.
There we go. I think I mixed those two. Hot under the handle.
Let's look this up afterwards. Hot under the collar. I'm really intrigued.
It's a thing.
That's a thing.
I swear.
Just like
Pretty sure.
just like cold open, which was one of our deleted takes.
Continue.
All right. Some other people, Dustin Hoffman, who's super short as well.
Mm-hmm.
Jack
Interesting.
Nicholson
Oh, interesting.
And-
a young Jack, huh?
and Warren Beatty.
Warren Beatty.
He's really tan. Well, at least when he was older, he was.
Sure. Okay.
I can only picture him old, and I can't
Interesting.
think of anything that he was in right now. But yeah, I can picture him very tan, and his hair like kind of spiked up.
Okay.
Yep. It always looks a little bit like he got electrocuted. So the studio, because some of those people were blonde haired
Yeah.
and did not look like the typical Italian
Yeah.
look,
Mm-hmm.
they said, well, we'll just change the location that they're from Sicily to northern Italy.
Mm-hmm.
That was their response to it.
Fixed it.
Yep, got it. Got it.
Love that.
But Pacino, he scored the role. He was only 31 years old at the time.
Wow.
What have you done with your life?
Oh, boy.
You're 34.
That's a bit rude.
Pathetic. So Coppola, because the studio didn't want Pacino so bad, they'd always want to let's bring in Robert Redford, let's bring in Dustin Hoffman.
Mm-hmm.
And every time they would, Coppola would say, Pacino, I want you to come in as well. So he'd always have them read like back to back in front of the studio
Face
heads.
off.
And he just kept bringing in Pacino over and over and over again because he saw that play and he loved it. He thought he was great. And the studio, finally at one point, one of the studio heads yells out, "Quit testing that man. He's a midget."
Oh, yikes.
Yeah. By the way, we do not condone the use of the N-word on this podcast.
Yep.
We were quoting.
We were quoting. Yeah. That's,
Ryan, I'm so sorry.
yeah, that's not a word we use anymore. Continue.
Yep. So they eventually just settled. They're like, okay, you can try him. But just like Coppola, they were following him around as well and waiting for him to trip up.
Yeah.
And in fact, it got to the point where he started to deliver scenes really irritated because he had these people who were just waiting for him to fail. And so he kind of delivered his lines with just a little bit of an edge. And the studios and Francis loved it.
Did it
They're
work?
like, oh, this is great. This is what we want. We want this little bit of like angsty
it's
edge
under
to your
there.
voice.
It's coming out.
Yep.
He's going to join up with the family.
Yep.
Mo loves the business. He never said nothing to me about selling. Well, I'll make him an offer he can't refuse.
Diane Keaton, she was an up-and-comer with a TV series. I did not grab her age, but she does Play It Again Sam the same year.
Oh,
So this
okay.
is a big year for her in Godfather and doing that. Have you seen Play It Again Sam?
I have not.
It's just one of those Woody Allen movies. Just one of those Woody Allen movies. It's one of the best Woody Allen movies. I've never seen it either.
I have not.
But you did watch, what's it called with both of them?
Annie Hall?
Yeah, you watched Annie Hall.
I have seen
Which
Annie
I think
Hall.
that's like 77-ish or something
Sure.
like that, late 70s.
Yeah, she's definitely younger in this than
Yeah.
that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think
from,
sometimes
from a look standpoint.
sometimes she doesn't even look like what we like settle on with Diane Keaton's look to me. Sometimes I don't think she even looks like the same person in this movie. I think she does in Godfather too.
Okay.
But in number one, sometimes I think like, that's Diane Keaton?
Yeah, that's true. It
Yeah.
did take me a bit
And
to
not that
recognize
she,
her.
not that she like ages weird. I think she actually ages really beautifully. But yeah, she doesn't just. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
It's the eyebrows. The
it probably
eyebrows
is.
are very thin. They're very penciled on. It's very. It's It's.
Is it the
it's
eyebrows?
It's the eyebrows.
That's what it is?
It's the eyebrows.
Okay. Well,
We'll
thanks
watch
for-
when we watch Godfather 2 tonight. I'll tell you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you know how naive you sound?
Why?
Senators and presidents don't have men killed.
Who's being naive, Kay?
So Sonny eventually goes to James Caan.
Hey, what are you gonna do? Nice college boy, huh? Didn't want to get mixed up in the family business? Huh? Now you want to gun down a police captain, why? Because he slapped you in the face a little bit? Huh? What do you think, this is the army where you shoot him a mile away? You gotta get up close like this, and bada bing, you blow their brains all over your nice Ivy League suit. Come here.
Sonny.
Mwah! You're taking this very personal. Tom, this is business, and this man is taking it very, very personal.
Which, how'd you feel about him?
I thought he was great.
I love him.
Oh, okay. I thought you were gonna. Say, you made a weird face. I was like, I think he's really good.
I think
he's
his
fantastic.
portrayal of Sonny is fantastic.
Yeah.
Because I like him. He's still like a family man, even though he's cheating on his wife. But he's still like a family man.
Yeah.
And yeah, he gets hot-headed, but everything he does is for the family still. And so he's very likable.
Oh, for sure. You root for him, but yeah, he's very good.
Yep.
He's very good.
It's how, if I ever get to play the role of Hotspur ever again, a Shakespeare character who's known to be hot-headed, I would want to play him more like Sonny than how I did the first
Hot
time.
under the collar, like
Yeah, a little
Sonny.
hot under the collar. How'd you feel about James Caan's shoulder hair? He's
You
got like a
guys,
mane.
He not only does he have a hairy back, he has hairy shoulders,
Yep.
and I mean the arms, yes, but like it's odd when it's the shoulders, right?
Yeah.
And it's odd when he is in a tank top a lot of the movie.
Yeah.
I was just thinking like, oh, when we put him in a tank top, maybe we should do a t-shirt. I don't know, or like a nice dress shirt underneath that and tank top. Okay, if you say so.
Because he's a fairly good-looking guy, but
But it's like it's almost his hair is so like lighter too, so it's almost like this like reddish blonde curl.
curly.
It's
curly. That's the weird part, is how curly that back hair is.
Shoulder hair.
Yeah,
It's curly shoulder hair.
It's really
It's
bizarre.
a bit odd. It's a bit odd.
Yeah. So I have like straight hair on the upper arm, back area.
Yeah, but yours is not like a thick mane. Like it is the
Mine's like
mane.
random stragglers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is almost more annoying.
Well, that's James Caan how he feels
Yeah,
about his
for
shoulder
sure.
hair.
So another person who auditioned for the role of Sonny, though, was Robert De Niro.
Oh, interesting.
Yep. So Robert De Niro auditions for Sonny. They don't cast him because they said he's too violent in his audition. Like he just came across like a psychopath. And they just didn't get that humanity out of him.
Sure.
And so they were like, okay, we're not going to cast you as this. They actually end up casting him, though, as Paulie.
Oh,
The
interesting.
driver who
Yeah.
abandons the Marlon Brando earlier in the movie because he's got a cold or cough, and then
Yep.
they end up shooting him.
Yeah, that scene is so interesting. So yeah, the character the bodyguard of the Godfather, who was sick on the day that the Godfather gets shot, you know, he's coming in afterwards and he's still sick. And Sonny's like, "Oh, you look terrible, man. Go get some food. Like, yeah, go take some aspirin. Mom made some food or whatever." The second he's out the door, he's like, "He's gone.
Yep.
You guys need to take care of him."
Yep.
So I just love that, that mob dynamic in these movies where it's like, "Let me take care of you. I wouldn't make my sister a widow. Are you crazy?"
Yep.
Next scene.
Yep,
You
for
gone.
sure.
You gone.
Yeah, you can't trust what they say.
You cannot.
Yep.
It's exciting.
So Robert De Niro gets cast as Paulie, but okay, this is weird. Al Pacino, while the studio's dicking him around and not casting him, he gets cast in another movie. And so, once again, he wasn't not a movie star. So he gets somebody else takes their chance with him. And I think it's kind of an action-y movie. They cast him as their lead. And so now Coppola really wants Pacino, but he can't have him because he's cast in this movie. Well, he's got De Niro as his Paulie character. So he reaches out to that studio and he goes, "Look, I want Pacino for my movie. I know you guys cast him. You have him under contract. I will give you Robert De Niro." And he was going to be a minor supporting character for me. I'm telling you, he'll be great for your movie. They saw him. They're like, "Oh, this guy would be awesome." They take De Niro. They give Pacino back. And then Pacino's able to be in The Godfather. We don't get De Niro playing this bit part. And then he's going to be able to do more stuff down the road.
Do you know what that movie was that De Niro
I
went
don't.
to go do?
I didn't write it down.
I thought it'd be great if it was like Goodfellas or something. Something great.
I mean, he does Mean Streets with oh gosh, what's his name? Who does Goodfellas? Scorsese. He does that movie in the 70s, but I don't think that's yet. I think that's in a little bit later. So they did this whole trade, and De Niro was super bummed though because he wanted to be in The Godfather.
A part of it,
He wanted to play Paulie.
He knew.
Yep.
He knew
it was gonna be great.
It was going to be great.
Hey, the guy who plays Luca Brasi. Who's Luca Brasi?
Luca Brasi's a big guy in the family, kind of like the muscle.
Yeah.
Would I say for the
sure.
family?
Yeah.
And I hope that their first child be a masculine child. I pledge my ever-ending loyalty for your daughter's bridal purse.
Thank you, Luca. My most valued friend.
Don Corleone, I'm going to leave you now because I know you are busy.
I don't have really any other details about him. He gets killed in an interesting way.
Yeah. How does he get killed?
Well, he's going to meet up. He's kind of gonna infiltrate another family, try to get some deets.
Yep.
And he's at a bar, and the bartender ends up stabbing his hand, and then someone comes up behind him and does like one of those like little wire chokes. The cords, yeah. He cords him to death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool death.
Yeah.
And so Luca also has that scene where he's like running through the lines over and over again. He's like, I want to thank you on this special day. I want to thank you about the special day.
He's nervous to go talk to the Godfather on the wedding day to go say thank you for inviting me. And yeah, he's just like this like big goofy guy who's like sitting out there sweating and just like talking to himself, rehearsing this this like speech that he's gonna give, and then he kind of fumbles on it when he's in talking with the Don.
So Luca Brasi, that is played by a guy who was a professional wrestler.
Oh,
yeah.
Your other passion. We're gonna get into wrestling, huh?
I should have grabbed his like stage name, but I didn't. But yeah, he used to be a professional wrestler before
Very
this.
good.
And he actually was super nervous to act with Brando. And so that scene where he's practicing his lines, they didn't film that first. They filmed the scene with him and Brando, and he kept messing up his lines over and over and over again while they were trying to film this scene. And he could not get his lines right, and he kept like messing up words and things because he was just so nervous and he was sweating profusely. And so what Francis Ford did was he was like, it's okay. I'm not going to reshoot this. We're going to use this footage. I'm going to add in a scene beforehand of you practicing the lines that you're going to say. And they ended up writing them down for him to say too at certain points in the scene that he does with Brando. They used all this stuff to make it part of his character.
That is brilliant. He is becoming one of my favorite directors of all time. That is so smart.
Yeah,
and it
super
works
cool,
so well
right?
because it's so funny.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like we don't have a ton of humor in this, but like there's a couple of spots where it's like,
Yep.
that's funny.
So the cat who sits on Brando's lap.
Yes.
I want to get into casting of the cat.
Okay.
Yep.
That's very niche.
Yeah. Okay. So the cat.
The cat. Opening scene.
The day Francis Ford is walking to go film that scene at the wedding and the opening sequence of the movie, he sees a cat that's a stray that's following him down the street. And he's like, oh, this stray cat. And then it dawns on him. He's like, I could use this cat. And he picks it up and he takes it with him to the studio. And he gives it to Brando. He goes, I just want you to, I just want to play with you sitting here with this cat. The cat loves Brando instantaneously.
Yeah.
It like is so drawn to him. It just sits on his lap while they film all day long. They film those scenes and the cat just sits there.
Yeah.
And he just strokes it.
Oh my gosh.
And that all happened the day.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Do you think is that like one of the first nods in a movie to where like the big bad guy has like a cat on his lap?
I don't know.
Because that's kind
Inspector
of like a
Gadget.
Sure, that was later. I'm pretty sure that was after this.
I don't know. Inspector
know what I
Gadget seems
mean?
like it was probably in the 50s. So
Like
those gadgets.
where did that type come from? Where did that like
Yeah,
idea
bad
of
guy
like the
with
bad
the cat.
guy stroking the cat on his lap?
I
I
don't
think
know.
is it maybe from this?
Maybe. But the funny thing is, Brando's not even the bad guy.
No, but he's
Brando's
an
like
intimidating figure. He's a
Sure.
boss, right?
Yep.
He's the
Yep. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to do some googling.
Yeah, it might be. That would be fascinating to find out.
I love that. And
Mhm.
again, there's another cap for
Francis?
feather in the cap for
Yep.
Francis Coppola. That's
You're
awesome.
pretty awesome, buddy.
That's pretty great.
Pretty awesome. Sylvester Stallone
Yes.
really wanted to be an extra in this movie. He wanted to be in the
Aw.
wedding scene just in the background.
For sure.
Or one of the mob guys or whatever. But he had initially just auditioned just to be in the wedding.
Mm-hmm.
And he got rejected.
Oh.
He was crushed when it
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
And that crushing actually led to him saying, like, you know what? Forget about acting for a little bit. I'm going to focus on writing. And he wrote Rocky.
Well, there you go.
He
That's
turned that
awesome.
heartbreak. He wrote Rocky. Within 4 years, he won Best Picture.
Fantastic.
Yep.
I didn't know he wrote Rocky.
Yeah, he wrote that and
If I
directed
knew
it.
that at some point, I totally forgot it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Good for him.
Yeah.
That's great.
Absolutely. So a little bit about like the filming and stuff. So the studio, they wanted to turn this from being in the 40s, I think it takes place in 45, and make this a movie that takes place in the 70s because they thought it would be more cost effective. They also wanted to move it from New York City to Kansas City. Kansas City has a little bit of mob stuff as well as historically, but Francis was like, no, we got to stick with the novel. We've got to make it in New York. We've got to make it in the 40s. Just trust me. It works as a period piece much better than it does as like a present day 70s thing. Even though we'll get into some of the stuff that was going on with the mob at that time. So because he convinced them, he actually was able to raise the budget from $2 million to $6 million based on that. But Coppola had to battle with the real mob to get this movie done.
Oh, my.
So the real mob gets in. The New York mob boss is leading this group that's trying to get Italian stereotypes out of Hollywood.
Sure.
So there had been movies that had been going on since like the 30s where they had talked about Al Capone and all this stuff and the Prohibition gangsters. And they were trying to like get rid of this like Italian dialect, oh, mamma mia, like get rid of all the stuff and start showing real Italians on screen. And he's getting like his team, it's called Teamsters or whatever, like his goons. They're like all about this crew. So Francis Ford actually has to meet with this mob boss. And they come up with all these deals. And they say, you can never use the word mafia in the movie. You can say the word mob, but mafia is Italian and means a specific entity. It means Italian mob.
Okay.
You can't use the word mafia. That's out. You also can't have any Italian dialects unless they're in Italy or they're from Italy. We don't want to hear, if they're from New York, they should talk like New Yorkers.
Okay.
We need to get rid of that stereotype. So he agreed to that as well. and they agreed to some other stuff, and to such a degree that the mob boss sent his guys to help with the shooting, to help keep crowds back when they were shooting things, to kind of be around, kind of like what happened with Goodfellas. Didn't the mob get involved in that too?
I think so. I
Yeah.
don't remember.
So they actually got the mob engaged in this.
What a stressful set that was. Can you imagine? Not only do you have studio execs breathing down your neck, but you have the mob on
making
set
sure everything's
also?
good. Hey, was that an Italian dialect?
Hey.
Hey.
Hey. That's really interesting. And yeah, I guess when I think about it, the only Italian dialects were in the Italian scenes, or the scenes filmed in Italy.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything else was New York.
Uh-huh.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't catch that until you said that.
They were not Italian.
No.
Italiana. So you'll like this. Francis Ford would have all his actors that he was going to shoot for the day.
Mm-hmm.
They'd sit down at a table and they would have dinner, and they would improv as their characters how the dinner would go before he'd start shooting.
Ooh.
So he wanted to set up character dynamics, how do you two interact?
Mm-hmm.
What's the relationship like between here? What are the power dynamics? How does that filter down? If you said something to him, what do you need to say to if he's more powerful than you to make him calm down? All those power dynamic things.
Sonny, Tom, I'd like to talk to you maybe after dinner. I could be doing a lot more for the family.
We don't discuss business at the table.
Fascinating.
So you'd have them have dinner together.
Wow.
Have you ever done anything like that, acting-wise?
Yeah, I don't think so. Not like past rehearsal.
Yeah.
Being in your character for longer than that, or that's interesting. That's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's really cool.
I did for Death of a Salesman at Lyric Arts.
Really? What'd you guys do?
They had the family sit down. It was just the four of us.
Yep.
Biff, Happy, Willie, and Linda. And we all four of us sat down and we had lunch.
Mm-hmm.
And the prompt was, Ty, you just came home. Biff, you just came home. And this is a time before the play takes place. This is one of the random times you came home and it didn't work out.
Mm-hmm.
Have lunch and see what happens. And so we improv for half hour, a lunch setting.
Yeah, how
and
was it?
Really good.
Yeah?
It was really interesting.
I feel like you as an actor would thrive in that because you love that. Improv is not quite the right word, but kind of that just taking chances and just rolling with it. You don't have to be glued to a script. You love when things go wrong and you just play off of it. You love playing.
Yep.
I think that would be really cool. I think some actors would find that stressful.
Sure.
I don't know where I fall in it.
Yeah, what would you think?
I think it would be fun, but it also depends on who my character is. If I'm a crazy character and I have to be crazy for a half an hour, that's going to be draining. But if I'm, a character who's a little bit closer to home, then that's really interesting.
So if we were to do an exercise like this, would you want to know in advance, or would you show up at the rehearsal and they're like, hey, I'm going to try something? As an actress, what would you handle better?
It's probably better to just spring it on me so I don't become anxious about it.
I think so too.
But then I'll be mad that you sprung it on me. So you just have to get past that. I'm going to be mad for the first 10 minutes of the exercise, but then I'm going to lean into it and really enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to be a little spiteful to start because I was not prepared.
Oh my gosh. Yep. That reminds me of, so whenever I want ideas from Rach, I always, her best ideas, she works really well after she gets mad and gets rejected. So, she'll come up.
Get mad.
She'll come up with a first idea and I'll be like, no, it's not good enough. And then she'll be like, why you have me help you if, it's not good enough? And then she'll just be kind of huffing and puffing a little bit, and she'll be thinking about it for a little while. And then she'll come up with the most brilliant idea. And I'm like, oh my God, that was perfect.
To be fair, this is when you want something you request hey, give me something really witty for this. It's okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. How about this? You're no, well, don't ask me then. Okay, how about this?
And then it's brilliant. It's so funny every time.
Yeah, third time's a charm usually.
Yep. Even second time. You just gotta get through that first one.
You gotta reject the first idea no matter what it is.
No matter what. And so now I keep telling her, I was like, okay, give me your poopy first idea so I can reject it. So he also had just a short amount of time to shoot this thing.
Mm-hmm.
They only wanted the wedding scene, which is 25 minutes. We've talked about.
It's a good
They
chunk.
gave him 2 days to film that.
Wow. But that'd be a hard scene though to continue to do just from
Sure.
The crowds, everybody,
The weather.
keeping the weather, yes,
Yeah.
the consistency of all that. So, yeah, wow, impressive.
Yep. So what he did is he choreographed that wedding to take place like a normal wedding. He positioned like, okay, band, you're going to play. You guys walk down. We're going to do the whole ceremony. He did all of it like we plotted it out and choreographed it like a actual wedding. And then he just put cameras all over the place and he filmed the ceremony happening. And then he cut it together to look like
Fantastic.
Instead of doing like 1,000 different takes.
Duh. Right? Don't
I know
you think a
I know
little?
you say duh, but
I
how come
know.
people don't do that?
I don't know.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
I don't know. That seems. Is that not how that's done?
No. Another feather in the cap for Francis Ford.
Yeah.
For being awesome.
I'm super impressed. He's my new favorite director.
Yeah.
I don't know who it was before, but
So we already talked about how he had people following him around for the whole first part of the set.
the mob or the execs.
The execs.
Okay.
So he thought for sure he was getting fired fairly early on.
Sure.
And he cast his sister as the gal who gets married. Connie.
Oh, yeah.
That's his sister.
No way.
And she's good.
She's very good.
So, spoiler alert, I watched Godfather 3 last night. Not 2, but 3.
Don't tell me. Does Connie
And-
die?
I'm not gonna tell you anything, but like it's fun to see like the characters who like continued on.
Oh, sure.
And what I will say is Connie's in some aspect of the movie. I won't tell you if it's flashback, if it's a present, or what it is.
Very good. Very
But
good.
so and I think she's fairly good as an actress.
Mm-hmm.
And but people are always like, oh, nepotism, like he cast his sister.
Mm-hmm.
But his thing was like, I was getting fired anyway. At least my sister got a sweet role. Like, of course I'm gonna cast her.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of cool.
If you can't get cast by your brother, then who can you get cast by? You know,
That's so
like
true.
nepotism. Well, whatever it is. It is what it is. We all, not we all, but a lot of us have benefited from it. It's a privilege piece. I don't know. Acknowledge it. Acknowledge it.
Acknowledge the privilege.
And then move on.
Yep. And then we'll try to be better.
Try to be better.
So Ford almost got fired after the first few scenes. Didn't go very well. And Brando and Pacino, to start with, they were underplaying everything before Pacino started getting pissed and having everything with that little undercurrent of anger. And so the studio just thought like, you're not getting anything out of them. And so they said, we're gonna fire Pacino, and you're on the clock as well. Well, when they said that to him, Brando then went to the studio and was like, hey, I'm walking. If you fire Francis Ford, I'm out of here. And so, and he didn't obviously pay that whatever amount in insurance, so they were going to be effed anyway. So,
Yeah.
Pacino, he saved his ass during that restaurant scene. That was
Yeah.
the scene that once he had done this restaurant scene, the studio was like, oh, this guy, he's pretty good. I think he might be a big deal.
Yeah, he is, I think, pretty solid in the movie. There is like a scene or two where I'm kind of like, it's not his best.
I
But,
think
yeah.
it's especially at the beginning of the film. For me, when he's playing like the idealistic military guy, I just think he's kind of boring.
Sure.
And he said that, and that's one of the reasons why the studio was thinking about firing him too. And he was talking about, he's like, yeah, I wanted to show the change though. I wanted to show the transformation. So I couldn't start with this really great acting. He's like, I needed to kind of start somewhere so then you could see this growth as I kind of go through all this tumultuous stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that.
Can you think of moments where you didn't think he was super great?
It's when he comes back from being exiled or in protection from Italy, and he has just a scene with Diane Keaton when he sees her for the first time. And it's...
Well, she's with elementary kids or something like that?
Yeah.
Teacher?
And I think it's probably intentionally pretty cold because of like what he's been through, and now he's back, and he's like, hey, I need you. You need to be my woman, kind of. So, but like, it just... I don't know. There's a couple of line deliveries that I kind of found myself going like, meh.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get that it needs to be like, it's not the same. He's not the same coming back. So
I think her character is kind of weird for taking him back too. I don't think it looks great for her just to be like, okay, sure. Oh, were you married before or something? Like what happened when you were gone?
She probably doesn't know any of that.
And I just feel like her character comes across a little dumb in a way, or naive.
A little naive.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, which
What
we know
were
is
we gonna say?
which we know is not true for Diane Keaton. I think she's very intelligent. I don't know why I think that. I think she usually plays characters that are pretty intelligent, and so sometimes you just assume that the actress is also. What are you looking at me like that? You have this really goofy, flat face. What's going on?
I was just thinking, you just say that because of First Wives Club. That's the only reason. You think she's so smart in First Wives Club, don't you?
I know I've seen her in other movies other than that movie, right?
You've only seen her in First Wives.
She's very witty and fun in Annie Hall and
Sure.
others. But yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
All right, continue. I'm gonna cut this out.
So right before releasing this movie, they're going to include an intermission at the restaurant scene, which I already kind of told you about.
Post-restaurant scene?
Yeah, right after the restaurant scene, intermission.
Yeah.
Come back with your snacks and let's ride this rest of this train out, huh? They shot this movie in a total of 62 days, and the studio wanted to cut this movie down to 2.5 hours. They said the length that it's at right now is just too long, so we got to cut it to 2.5. Francis Ford had made this awesome cut that was around 3 hours, though. I think it's like 2 hours and 50 minutes. And he's like, I'm just telling you, I think this cutting is way better. So they tested both of them. And they're like, oh, gosh, he's right. It totally is way better to do the 2 hours and 50 minutes. So they did it. And what did you think lengthwise?
I mean,
bloated?
When you say
you
that it's that long, my initial reaction is to go like, oh, 3 hours. Well, what needs to be that? But if you asked me, okay, but if you're going to trim it down, what do you trim? I don't know. Do you know what was trimmed from it to make it that?
I don't.
Yeah.
I think the movie.
Tricky.
I think the movie breathes.
Yeah, that's a great way to say it because it's not always like not everything is essential, but I think you need those highs and lows to kind of, like you said, breathe.
Yeah, and you get attached to like some of the random characters. Like even characters that I couldn't tell you the name of. The bigger guy who has the box, who pulls out a shotgun and blows those guys up in the elevator at the end of the movie. But I've seen enough of him in the movie to know that he's important and that I like this character.
Yeah.
Same with that tall guy who like betrays the family at the end. Like I know these people, even if I don't know their names. And I appreciate we gave them time.
Yeah.
So I think that's cool.
Yeah, I would say there's like a little bit of like the Las Vegas stuff that I think, well, maybe we could have left that on the floor.
But what about Fredo?
Well, what about Fredo? We always forget about Fredo, and it's kind of like it's Fredo.
But
maybe he'll be a bigger part in the next movie. I don't know.
So the film releases on March 15th of 1972. Why is that date important? March 15th.
I did March?
Yeah, nailed it.
Like it's got to be a history question or a sports question or an anniversary. I can't think of any.
The movie, as I mentioned before, it cost $6 million. It only makes $300,000 in its opening weekend.
Whoa.
Yeah. It debuts at number 1, though, but there's not a lot of box office details. But here's what we do know. We know that the movie made a lot of money. So this is the first movie that at some point during its run, so it's released March 15th. It's during April this happens. It makes $1 million in one day. It's the first movie ever to have that happen. It breaks Gone with the Wind's records for profits. It makes $85 million during its first release. And then total over time, it makes $133 million before, and then they re-release it like in the 2000s. But that's taking that out. There's a movie the next year that breaks this record, though. Do you know what movie it is?
Godfather 2.
No. No, it's a scary movie.
In the 70s?
Yep.
Psycho?
Nope.
No, wait, not Psycho. That's black and white.
Do you know I've never seen all of Psycho?
I've never seen all of Psycho.
Oh, well, dang. I was going to say, put that on the summer's off list.
I've seen most of it.
I've seen just the iconic moments. Scary.
I know it's going to...
Scary.
I know.
Do you want a hint?
Yeah.
The power of Christ compels you. The power of Christ compels
Exorcist.
you. You've seen Exorcist, right?
Most of it.
You've never seen the whole thing?
I don't want to see it.
It's one of the scariest and best movies of all time.
What? Yeah.
I love that movie. That movie's so good.
Yes, Exorcist. That's what I meant to say instead of Psycho. Exorcist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The tagline for this movie, you want to make a guess?
Whether it's Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Wednesday, today's the day to watch this movie. There's a lot that was left on the cutting room floor. They didn't go all the taglines.
This is an offer you can't refuse.
I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse.
Oh, that's good. That's a good one. I like that.
You want to guess the Rotten Tomato score?
100%.
Nope. Close, though.
99%.
Close.
98.
Close.
Oh, just tell me now.
97.
Okay.
Audience score, 98%.
Very good, yeah.
Critics' consensus. One of Hollywood's greatest critical and commercial successes, The Godfather gets everything right. Not only did the movie transcend expectations, it established a new benchmark for American cinema.
What?
Rach goes, And you never know what that means.
I'm trying to keep it suspenseful.
I'm trying to think what movie it was that I gave you a really high critics consensus, and you were like, "Oh, that's what they thought, huh?" Or something like that, and then you destroyed it when you got to yours. I can't remember what it was.
Little China or something.
So here are the Oscar nominations and wins. It was nominated for 10 Oscars. It wins Best Actor for Brando.
Yeah.
Wins Best Screenplay or Adapted Screenplay.
Yeah.
And Best Picture. So it wins the Best Picture that year.
Was anyone else nominated from like a supporting standpoint?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked, Rach. Listen to this. For Best Supporting Actor, they get 3 people up.
Oh, snap.
You want to guess who the 3 are?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pacino.
Yep.
And I'm going to call him Sonny because I can't think
James
of
Caan. Yep.
James Caan. And a third one?
Third one. Who I really appreciate this person's acting now. At the time, I think I was just like, yeah, he's okay. But now I think he's a really good actor.
It's a he.
Yep.
It's a he.
Don't look down here.
I'm not looking down. I'm thinking.
Trying to look at my
I'm
iPad,
not.
aren't you?
I look to the
my
left, but I'm
format.
thinking.
Yeah,
It's-
right. You
it's my
liar.
brain. I'm forgetting. Oh, it's the brother, the adopted brother. What's
Robert
his name?
Duvall.
Robert Duvall.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Who I think is really good in the
He's
movie.
very good.
Yep.
And also, again, a young Robert Duvall. You're like, hey, do I know that guy?
Yeah.
Looks
Yeah.
very different.
I could picture him. And then when I looked it up, I was like, oh my God, that's Robert Duvall?
Yeah.
Because like when I think of Robert Duvall, I think of like Newsies.
Sure.
He's like Pulitzer and stuff. I don't think of young Robert Duvall so much.
He's cute.
They all lose
Sure.
to Joel Grey in Cabaret.
Ah, well,
I've never seen the Cabaret movie.
you've never seen the Cabaret movie?
Nope.
Oh.
And I've actually, oh my gosh, this is like blasphemous.
I'm ready.
I've never seen it staged. I've heard the music a
Cabaret?
bunch. I've watched clips of it, and I generally know the story. Like I know like how everything turns on its head and everything, and I've seen the ending scene, but I've never seen the play or the musical from front to back. And why are you giggling? Beginning to end.
No, I like front
to back.
From front to back.
And I've
Yep.
never watched the movie.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
all
take
right.
that.
Well, I can
And-
put that on your list.
And Cabaret is the biggest thorn in Godfather's side. It wins 8 Oscars and competes with him in a lot of categories. But
lucky.
it's the most successful movie with Oscar wins to never win Best Picture.
Oh, Cabaret
Because
is?
Godfather won, not Cabaret.
Yeah. Oh, interesting.
Yep.
Oh, what a crazy year for film.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
If you had to take a guess, AFI's top 100 movies of all time list,
Yeah.
what number do you think this movie is at?
Top 100?
Top 100.
Is it top 10?
Yes.
Is it 10?
Nope.
Is it 8?
Nope.
3?
Correct.
Yeah.
It is directly after Citizen Kane, which is number 1.
Never seen it.
I've never have either, but everybody always talks about filmmaking brilliance, you know.
Sure.
I think it's more about the film than it is about the plot and the acting.
Yeah.
So that's why it's a hard one for me to get motivated to watch.
Yeah.
And then Casablanca is number 2.
Casablanca.
Which to me
Oh,
Casablanca
here we
is
go.
a good movie
Uh-huh.
and not a great movie.
Mm.
And Paul, I'm so sorry I said that, but that's how I feel. I think Casablanca is just a good movie. What do you think?
I don't know if I'd have it as my number 2. I think Godfather should probably be higher than it, but
Yeah.
I definitely think it's top 10
Okay.
but AFI or whoever this list is,
American
like,
Film Institute, yeah.
that makes sense that would be. Is it my top 10? No. Is it my top 5? No.
What,
But
Casablanca or Godfather?
Casablanca.
Okay.
Both, actually.
What?
What?
Spoiler.
What? But I understand why that would be from a larger critical sense.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then you want to know what comes in right after it?
You know I do.
Devil Wears Prada.
No, it doesn't. You liar. What comes next?
Gone with the Wind.
Aha!
Which was the Devil Wears Prada of the 1940s.
of its time, for sure. Everybody says so.
Everybody thinks that.
2 cassettes. 2 cassettes.
2 cassettes. That's what tells you. If Devil Wears Prada came in 2 cassettes, maybe I'd have more respect for it.
You would murder me if Devil Wears Prada was 2 cassettes long.
This is named the best gangster movie of all time by AFI and several other publications as well.
I
Godfather's-
agree.
Yeah?
I strongly agree with that.
Okay. Well, that's going to ruin one of my questions.
Oh, sorry. You want to ask that question to me
No,
now?
it's okay.
Are you going to ask it now?
Rach, describe the logo for us, the Godfather logo.
Oh, yeah. The logo is interesting. It's the, how am I going to say it right? The marionette strings.
Yep.
It's just a hand, right? Holding the little cross or the T that's, dropped my phone. That is the marionette strings. And I don't think the strings are on anything, or do we see the strings attached to anything?
I don't think so. I don't think they attach to
maybe?
anything. Yeah.
But, so it's kind of like this puppeting, right? Yeah. Do you want me to, do I need to explain what puppeting means?
I don't think so. Was I just looking at you pretty blank stare? Like,
no.
Explain more.
Yes. Yeah.
Go deeper
It's
into
like
go deeper into the puppets.
Do you want me to say more? Am I good? Do we get it? Are we gonna, assume our audience knows what we're talking about?
I think we'll assume they know puppets. So the Godfather symbol, that was actually designed by an artist that Coppola had been working with, and it was really early in the process. The studio hated it. They said, this puppet thing is dumb. We got to get rid of it. We needed to come up with a better title. And Francis had to fight real hard to get that to stay. And I think it's really cool.
Yeah, it's iconic now.
Yeah,
you
for
can't
sure.
unsee it. Man.
Oh. All right.
Heyo.
This one's going to annoy you. Al Pacino was a method actor. What's that mean for our audience who don't know about method acting?
I don't know, like a clinical definition of it.
You can
method
just explain
acting.
it
It's
in
just like when you get
layman's
so
terms.
into the character that you're I don't know, if you don't see it as acting, it's being, I guess I don't really know how to describe it.
You don't leave the character a whole lot. You believe
Yes.
that you have such strong connections to your personal life to the character that you can separate character from self.
Yeah, on and off screen, you're that person.
Yep.
A lot of times you might do things like you might really try meth, or you might really, I don't know, do...
This is why I think that when Kerry Washington got really whipped in Django Unchained, that's method acting. And it should not be we should not celebrate that. We should celebrate, we should say actors are going through therapy or doing dangerous stuff to themselves for no reason at all. That's my opinion anyway.
Yeah.
But Pacino's a method actor, and Pacino, when he gets punched by the sergeant guy.
Oh jeez.
So he didn't actually get punched.
Oh god.
But he wired his mouth shut just like they would for the thing, and he had the wire around his mouth and his jaw, and he had that for multiple days.
I just I think there are aspects of wanting to get into the character and do some things authentically to an extent, and that would have been an extent I'd be like, that's not necessary.
Not when it causes harm to people.
Can we?
If somebody's either self-harming or harming another person, there's no use for that in the business.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah. I lost my train of thought. Oh, I know what I was gonna say. It's it kind of takes all of the craft of acting out of it. You act. That's why it's impressive. Is because you're not really getting punched in the face.
Just act.
Just act. Just act like you
Act,
are.
you fool!
Ah!
So that gets a big old eye roll from me.
Sure.
That line, leave the gun, take the cannoli.
Leave the gun. Take the cannoli.
Yes. Improv.
Improv.
Yes. Oh, it's so good.
All the script said was leave the gun. But that actor, the bigger guy who has a shotgun in the elevator, that guy, they had already filmed the scene with his wife where she was like, hey, don't forget to pick up the cannoli. And so he was and it happened in a rehearsal, not when they shot, but in a rehearsal, he's like, leave the gun, take the cannoli. And Francis Ford's like, oh my God, it's brilliant. We talk about the cannoli. We got to get this man cannoli. So that was a thing that got added, which I love it when actors do stuff like that because it's in the world of the play.
Yes.
That's why it's brilliant.
And that's why I love it.
You want to talk about that horse head?
Yeah. What was it made of? Jello?
What do you think it was made out of?
The horse head?
Yeah, if you had to guess.
Well, if we were method actors, it would be a horse.
Okay.
But we're not.
So what was it made out of?
It was a taxidermied horse head.
So was it a real horse head, but it's taxidermy?
No, it was not. I don't know. Just tell me.
It was a real horse head.
No.
It was real.
Oh, gross. What?
Yep.
It wasn't killed for this, was it?
No.
Oh, God.
So the Humane Society, or not Humane Society, whoever fights.
Whoever kills
Yeah.
horses
No.
humanely.
No. The Humane Horse Killing Society.
Yep. I've heard of them.
HHKS. They were really, really upset about this movie because they thought that the horse had been killed for the movie. A lot of animal
Sure.
rights activists and things like that.
I would be upset.
But the horse was going to be killed no matter what.
Okay.
The horse was a horse that had been killed for a dog food factory.
Oh, gross.
Back in the 70s,
Oh,
there were
that's
pieces
terrible.
of horse that were ground
Yeah.
up for dog food.
I know.
And so this factory, Francis Ford had some scouts there. They showed him the horse, the prized horse that they were going to use in the movie. They said, I need a horse head that looks like this horse. So they went there and they picked out their horse. And then when the dog food factory ended its life, they chopped off its head and they shipped it in a box full of dry ice to the movie studio.
That's terrible. That's so. I mean, I don't know who I'm like more grossed out by. The dog food factory, I think.
Probably.
It's probably where this.
Because dogs
the
are so
buck
great.
stops
Why
there.
are we being so shameful to their factories? Why are you doing such shameful stuff?
The horses, like.
But we have to admit, our dogs come from wild animals. Your dog is a wild animal. It's descended from wolves.
Feed him like one. Feed him this horse.
Which leads us to our first sponsor, Blue Mountain Dog Food.
See, that would fit so
That
perfectly.
would we should have reached out to them.
Should have reached out.
Guys, we keep getting contacted by advertising, and I keep resisting.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens. So you might have Blue Mountain on here soon enough. So it was a real horse head.
That's
you can pull
incredible.
that out in trivia.
That's crazy trivia.
Yep.
Wow.
That deal with the mob that we talked about earlier, the deal that Francis Ford made with the mob
Yes.
to get this film made.
Thank you.
So that guy who ran the mob at the time, his name was Columbo. I don't remember his first name. We're just going to call him Columbo.
Don Columbo.
Yep. And he, during the filming of this movie, he led that kind of group of like Teamsters and stuff, and that they had agreed for this movie. During the filming, he is a few blocks away and from the studio, and he's giving an impassioned speech about Italian stereotypes in cinema. He's actually mentions the Godfather and the things that they're doing to fight against that as well, and the things that they want to see incorporated into the Hollywood industry to fight those Italian stereotypes. He's a mob boss, though.
Yeah, it's like you're not like kind of helping your cause, but you're kind of like a hypocrite. Continue.
There's a photographer in the audience who is supposedly taking pictures of him while he's doing this speech. Photographer drops their camera, pulls out a gun, and shoots him while he's doing the speech, while they're filming Godfather a few blocks away.
Oh my gosh.
Kills him.
Oh my gosh.
His bodyguards instantly leap up and they shoot this guy, this
Yeah.
fake photographer in the audience, this assassin. Wow. They think that it was this guy, his rival. His name is Gallo, or Gayo, I don't know how you say his name. And they, a little bit after this, Gallo's sitting in his restaurant eating.
Yeah.
And Columbo's men go into the restaurant, pop him in the face.
Cap him.
Cap him.
Or pop him. I like pop too.
While he's eating at his own restaurant.
Yeah.
And that all happens around the time this movie comes out. And when it happens, so Francis Ford was worried that this movie had kind of aged out. He's like, well, the mob's not really super active in the 70s. And then while the filming is
We'll show
happening,
you.
nearby, there's two mob hits happen. He's like, oh yeah, this movie is just as relevant as ever.
How timely.
Hot diggity dog.
How do we know that Coppola in his brilliance didn't start the mob
Didn't
war
hire
to like
Gallo.
Yeah, exactly.
assassin.
To get excitement around his film.
It's conspiracy theory.
Fantastic.
I love it. Okay.
It
Now,
started here.
You already kind of answered this question, but I think you should reiterate
Yes.
the order just for our audience.
Okay.
Okay.
Give me what we're ordering.
Godfather
Okay.
versus Scarface
Okay.
versus Goodfellas.
Okay. Number 1 or number 3?
Start with number 1.
Number 1 is The Godfather.
Okay.
I think I'm just gonna borrow what you said. I think it breathes
Yeah.
really well. It's just very airy and light. And
It's like a Scorpio.
it's good
Is that,
exhales. It's
are Scorpios there?
air sign? I don't
I
know.
don't know.
Doesn't seem like it would be.
Who knows? Nobody knows, I don't think.
Second would be Scarface.
Okay.
I think Scarface is
Yeah.
second. Yep.
F you, now you die.
Yeah. I can neither confirm nor deny if my actual percentages match up to this, but this is just coming off of
It's
my
off the
head
top.
now.
This is why I wanted us to do this game
Yeah,
again.
yep. And then I would say Goodfellas is third.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
I agree with that rating.
Do you?
I do. Even though my Scarface rating might have been lower than Goodfellas, it probably was because it was early on in our tenure as well.
You and my 10
Summer's
years?
off.
As us? As a couple?
No,
Or as
in Summer's
as
off.
podcasters?
How I couldn't say Scarface is like a 90% when it's like
It's too early.
this is the movie number 2.
Can't throw out 90%
That's
this early.
crazy.
That's nuts.
That's
nuts.
crazy. But yeah, I agree with you. Now, I want to turn it over to you because I'm sure you have things that you want to talk about. We'll talk about favorite scenes and acting. We'll do your Rachel meters. But do you have anything that you would like to discuss in this movie?
That is just, honestly, that's a bit broad.
Well, here, let me bring up some stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I think this movie isn't about the mob. I think this movie is about family.
You spend time with your family?
Sure I do.
Good. Because a man that doesn't spend time with his family can never be a real man.
Ooh.
I think it's a story of a man who doesn't get corrupted by the dark side, but it's a story of a man who learns that the most important thing in this world is family.
Yeah, I think you could really interchange any kind of profession. Like, it could be like a shoe cobbler. It could be a baker.
Yeah.
Same story.
Same story.
Same effectiveness. Just a different
Just as
profession.
compelling.
I agree.
Also could be 2
Family.
VHSers. Yep. The story of the baker. Yep. The baker.
The baker.
Yo, I don't want to be a baker. I want to do my own thing, Dad. Come on. No, you're going to be a baker. Oh, I don't want to. Oh, Dad got shot.
Pow, pow, pow.
I gotta be a baker. And I'm gonna get my revenge on those guys who killed my pops. And I'm gonna be a baker.
Equal is effective. I agree. Family.
Family.
Family first.
Family first.
I don't disagree with you. I think it is. I think that's what I like. And maybe that's what like really sets this mob movie apart for me than other ones, is that the familial ties are so relevant. Relevant. I mean relevant and prevalent. Prevalent.
Oh, new words.
Did you like that?
I love new words.
It's called a spoonerism.
So, I like some of these quotes. I've got a few quotes I listed down here. A man who doesn't spend time with his family can never be a real man. Oh, that's nice.
I remember that quote in it.
Yeah, does Sonny say that or does Don
No,
say
I
it?
think
Corleone says it?
Corleone or Corleone says
It depends on who you are.
Depends
Yep.
on who you are.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
Classic.
Classic. They had Luca Brasi's sleeping with the fishes.
Yeah, that was fun.
What the hell is this?
That's a Sicilian message. It means Luca Brasi sleeps with the fishes.
Leave the gun, take the cannoli. What's cannoli, by the way?
It's an Italian pastry. Do you know? Are you asking for real? or
Oh,
are
it's
you
like
asking... Oh, you were asking.
Yeah,
I
I'm
thought you were
asking.
clarifying for the audience.
What's a cannoli? No,
yeah.
I'm asking you, what's cannoli?
It's like a pastry. It's like round pastry puff, and then on the inside, it's filled with like whipped cream.
Oh, okay.
You maybe put like a little chocolate sauce on top of it.
Okay.
I've honestly never had one before.
I like this one, too.
Ready?
It's not personal. It's strictly business.
Strictly business.
Those are all really fun.
Go to the mattresses.
Go to the mattresses?
Don't you remember this one?
No, say it.
Go to the mattresses. It's not personal, it's business. Go to the mattresses. It's like go all in.
Sonny, we ought to hear what they had to say.
No more. Not this time, Consigliere. No more meetings, no more discussions, no more Salazzo tricks. You give him one message, I want Salazzo. If not, it's all out war. We go to the
Some of the other family.
I don't know what the mattresses mean. Maybe death? I don't know.
Oh, like I'm going to go till I die?
Yeah. Go to the mattresses.
Go to the mattresses. I love it. The music in this movie? No, I'm
that oboe solo at the beginning, it was the first thing I wrote down in my notes. Oboe, sweet. Are you doing a trill? Is that a trill I hear?
I'm trilling with my tongue.
Trilling? You know, it's funny, when I played the clarinet and I tried to trill with my tongue, my instructor said, no, that's not how we do that. Use your finger.
I love the idea that that's what you're trying to do. That's so great. I think the music's so great. I love how everything's presented so cordially. Like, everything is done so respectfully, like when they're in these meetings with each other.
Yeah.
And, like, people don't always get, like, super fired up. Then when Sonny gets fired up, it's, like, seen as, like, he's breaking decorum.
Yes.
Like, you got to talk to each other with respect, and you got to
Yes.
treat each other very good, even if you might blow their brains out, like, in 2 scenes.
Yeah, hey, take some medicine. Make
Yep.
sure you eat. You look terrible. Go eat something. Go lay down. He needs to be gone. I don't want to see him again.
What'd you think of Fredo?
What I think of Fredo?
Yep.
Well, I forgot about him for one. Poor Fredo. He's kind of an odd-looking guy. Can we say that?
Yeah,
Is that
for sure. You can
he's
say
just
that.
kind of like
You can always say somebody's odd-looking.
He's odd-looking. Like his head is like. He's like the character in South Park, the teacher.
Mr. Garrison?
He's like Mr.
With the puppet?
Yeah. No, the counselor. He's like the
Oh,
counselor.
the counselor.
Doesn't he
Mr.
look
Mackey?
Like, don't you think?
Yep.
Doesn't he? His face shape kind of like look like that. It's kind of like this like.
Yeah, maybe.
Little like drop point.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I get what you mean with the drop point. You kind of got me there.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe he has an interesting shaped head and the hairline,
and he's supposed to be the oldest, or he's older.
No,
He's older than
Michael. He's a middle kid.
Oh, okay.
Sonny's the oldest.
Enough said.
He's a weird middle kid.
He's odd
like
middle
Tori. He's like the Tori of the family. Weird head.
Weird shaped head. Goes off to work in Las Vegas.
Yep.
You forget about him. You're like, who? Luca?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh. Wait, that's not even his name.
Not Luca.
Fredo.
Fredo.
I can't even remember.
You
his
thought he
name.
was Luca.
Oh, poor Luca.
Yep. I thought that number one, you mentioned, you're like, is this a Christmas movie? There's a lot of Christmas lights in this movie. I think the debate could rage.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so.
If
Is
we're
it?
going to pretend Die Hard's a Christmas movie, here, why don't we pretend Godfather's a Christmas movie? It's got the same Christmas plot line. Turmoil, succeeds, wins the day, happy ending, Christmas movie.
I wish this is like one of the few times that I wish that we YouTubed this, because your sass level. Like
I have a lot of head sways.
Swaying your head
a lot
right
of
now.
head sways. Oh, we doing this? We're going to do this. Then.
That's great.
What'd you think of that restaurant scene?
Oh, that was great. It was super suspenseful. I love it. And I love it that like he walks out and he has the gun on him, but like there's an opportunity right there. You think like he's gonna cap him right there.
Yep.
But he doesn't.
But he doesn't. He sits down.
Sits down.
Oh, it's brilliant.
And then you can just hear the it's not streetcar, but whatever's like running past, like the tram's going, and so it's like building up, and you can just feel like his inner like.
The suspense that built through that scene is remarkable.
Yeah, it's good.
It is
really good.
one of my favorite scenes in cinema. It's so good.
Whoa.
The way it builds in suspense like that, so good. I haven't seen suspense built like that since Halloween, the original.
Not number 3?
No, not number 3, but awesome. And number 3 is great.
I loved the crooner at the wedding.
Yeah, Johnny Fontaine.
Yeah.
Johnny Fontaine.
Yeah, I just love that mob tie to like these like song.
Oh yeah,
these beautiful
because
berries.
we've all heard the story about Frank Sinatra being tied to the mob and all this stuff. Like it seems real. Like the Rat Pack, they're tied to the mob.
Seems like a good story to tell. I'm glad we mentioned it.
Did you get that when he goes to Sicily? He goes to a place called Corleone.
Michael?
Yeah, Michael goes to Corleone.
I did not.
Okay.
I did not get that was a town.
Yeah, there was a town there
named
So
Corleone.
he's the Don Corleone, but he's from a town called Corleone. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Keep your wits out for that one.
How did you feel about the little departure to Italy? Is it necessary? Is that the turning point for
Things
us?
got to cool down, babe. Look, after you cop a couple guys, you got to get out of Dodge. And you got to go to, I was going to say Corsica. That's not where he went. He went to Sicily.
Yeah.
Corsica, that's where Napoleon's from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you got to get out of there.
Only thing that feels a little like...
You didn't like that he married some other girl?
I mean, I thought it was fine. Well, the fact that then she ends up getting...
naked.
Murdered.
When you're married, you just know what the other one's going to say.
It's like we can finish each other's
sandwiches.
Yeah. Naked. Yeah, I mean, was helpful in propelling his character forward and hardening him, for sure. I don't know that the movie itself was like super consistent with staying in the 40s. And I only say that because I always feel like I see a lot of 70s hair in it.
Hair for sure.
Sammy's hair.
You mean Sonny's?
Sonny's hair.
Yep.
Was, I mean, again, not that you can't have like a little bit of a poofy fro, but
Rach,
and
we
the
deal,
gal that
we deal with this present day.
I know.
We deal with this in what's it called?
Dirty Dancing.
No, but Dirty Dancing for sure.
Dirty
But
Dancing.
what's the show that you just watched that's all about Jane Austen, sex, and Netflix, and Shonda Rhimes, and Bridgerton? Yeah, so Bridgerton.
Yeah, but that's different.
So Bridgerton, the costumes are very historically accurate.
Yeah.
You've got great sideburns. But then even there, in some of their haircuts, like the main guy, the Duke, has this like buzz cut.
Oh yeah,
like,
they gotta make him look hot.
Nobody had a buzz cut then, babe. They bald. If they were balding.
But the guy that you're talking about is also black, and nobody black was also at that status.
True. So like, I guess we just suspend disbelief, you know?
Yeah.
Who's to say we have to be super accurate about everything?
Well, it wasn't a lot of people though. It was just like a handful. I was like, that just seems.
Yeah.
I forgot that
as
it
pop
was
culture,
a 40s movie.
We've
sometimes.
decided that that's okay.
Yeah. We forget
for our Hollywood. No, we don't. We don't
some
care.
People are very
we
good
don't care
at
about
it.
hair.
Some people are very, very good at keeping it in the world. But like, wouldn't you say like, didn't Diane Keaton at times feel like, oh, that she could wear any of this stuff in the 70s?
Like
her
that's
hair?
oh yeah,
And
for
her
sure. No, for
hair,
sure.
like-
Yep. I thought that about a lot of the women.
Yeah.
A lot of them.
Her skinny eyebrows, like is that a 40s thing? I think that's a 70s thing.
There must be a book about Hollywood fashion that says like you got to nail the costumes, but we don't care about hair and makeup.
Yeah, we'll
Like
forgive
that.
some of that.
You can pretty much do whatever you want. Just make it contemporary because that's what the audience wants to see.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
What'd you think of Sonny's death?
Oh,
Favorite death of the movie?
One of the ones that yours.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had remembered that scene, but I couldn't remember where he was because this was when we were trying to quiz me to see, like, had I really seen it? And you're like, yeah, well, how does he die? Where does he die? And I was like, I don't know. It's like, I thought it was a border crossing. I thought it was on his way to...
you said he's on his way to Mexico,
on
isn't
his way to Mexico because it looks like there's, like, a big border wall set
and
up.
I was like, no, you don't know the movie. You just have seen that clip.
Yeah, he's just headed over the tarmac, I think, to go to New Jersey or something.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, so cool.
It is pretty good. Although, like,
You were
he's, like, still
confused.
standing and there's, like, you know,
Oh,
he's, like, riddled with, like, maybe 50
But that's what I
bullets.
love about him. He's like...
Can't put him down?
No, because he's Sonny. He's crazy. He took
is.
so many bullets. He's like, ah. But the way he, like, holds his body after he gets shot all those times, like, he doesn't want to move because everything hurts, you know? I love that. Like, that's a small attention to detail. That I'm like, oh, that's really good. That's
He's probably
really
a method
good.
actor. He probably did some research
Oh, I'm
to
sure.
know.
You know, Marlon Brando's a method actor. Robert De Niro's a method actor. They're all method.
Yeah.
They like Stella Adler as well, but they mostly like Strasberg.
I feel that.
Yeah, keep your eye out. I'll give you this tip right now. Lee Strasberg, the guy who invented the method, he's in movie number 2. See if you can spot who he is.
Whoa.
Yep.
Whoa.
Yes.
Cool.
Robert De Niro gets him that job.
I'm trying to think of what my favorite death is.
Or favorite scene even.
Favorite scene?
Yep.
I mean, the restaurant scene is good. I don't know. I kind of love just how it opens. I love that there's like this wedding going on and like this like normalcy, and then all these deals are happening. Like you get to see the Godfather like in his prime when he's making all the deals, and I think that's my favorite.
And you see that he is a decent man.
He's a family man. He's
and like so a guy
It's all
comes
about
to
respect.
him and wants like revenge on some people who attacked his daughter, or maybe that's the second guy. And he's like, you've never been a friend to me. Why should I help you? And he's like, because I need your help. And he goes, well, if we're going to do this, you need to be a friend to me then. I would have done this for you in a heartbeat if you were always kind to me. And he's like, I didn't want to get mixed up with the mob. I didn't want to get in trouble. And he's like, I would have made sure you never got in trouble. All you had to do was be loyal to me. And I would have done this with all my heart. I'll do it for you. From here on, you're my friend.
And isn't it heartbreaking that the one favor, he says, there will come a time that I will ask you to do a favor for me.
Yep.
And his one favor that the mob or that the Godfather comes and asks
It's that
for.
same guy. Yep.
He goes to the same guy, and this is after Sonny's death, and he
Uh-huh.
said, make him look recognizable to
Yep.
his. I don't want his mother to see him like this.
Yep.
That's his one
Oh,
favorite.
I know, because he's a good man.
He's a good man. He's just, just kills people.
And so that's one of the things, though, about this movie, and I think it got a little backlash. I mean, people loved it, obviously, but I think it gets a little backlash because it makes the mob look awesome.
What it does is it glorifies the mob, right? And it also glorifies the violence. So we have to look at it from that perspective too. That's not like a great thing, but that's also why this movie I think is so popular with so many people.
Yep.
So
yeah, because they don't want to get into narcotics. They want to gamble and drink. Everybody's like, okay, gambling, drinking, that's great. Yeah, we don't want heroin. We all agree on all this stuff. It's like, sure, that seems like, how bad are they? They just own casinos and then they do a lot of stuff with alcohol. Okay, no big deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe it paints too nice of a picture of the mob. I don't think it does that either, but it definitely does glorify it, right? Like think about to like how many we talked about this with Goodfellas, like how many posters of this were in college dorm rooms. Like guys are all about Godfather or Goodfellas. Gotta have those one of two posters
because
on
they
the
were
wall.
awesome, babe.
They're so cool. Real men.
There was a video game of this, by the way.
Of
it was a
the
Godfather video game. I used to play it.
Oh.
It was awesome.
Was it?
It didn't do well ratings wise. It was like GTA, Grand Theft Auto.
Thank you.
But I thought it was more fun because you'd take control of these businesses and you'd build these rackets and then you'd like make attacks on one of the other 5 families and then it also followed the Godfather story and you were like a crony who like rose up the ranks of the Corleone family and you'd help Michael out and stuff. You'd help him like get his dad. You'd like be fighting off these guys while he's getting the bed into a different room while his dad's in the hospital. You know, all this fun stuff that I really enjoyed it, but it didn't do very well.
The hospital scene. I like the hospital scene. There's a lot of tension in that scene. Yeah. And then they so basically the Godfather's been shot, but he's like kind of like in intensive care and Michael goes to visit him, and when he goes to visit he realizes that the families that they're against, the other 5 families, have like essentially called off his protection and then also the cop protection. Like the cops are in on it too. So like he's a sitting duck at the hospital and Michael gets there and he's like, we gotta move him right now. He's not safe. And and then he goes and he stands outside the hospital and like makes it look like he's got a gun and gets another guy to stand there. So I don't know.
It was cool.
It's very cool.
Another guy that they pull a favor on, who comes in at the beginning and asks for a favor.
Oh yeah.
That dude who comes with flowers.
Yep.
So I think it's a tremendous movie.
Yeah. What would you give it?
So here's what I'm struggling with.
All right, I'm ready.
I had it at a 90%, and then I dropped it to an 89 because at 90% is Terminator 2. And when I think about what movie I would go back and watch right now, I'd pick Terminator 2. But this is a better movie than Terminator 2. And so the struggle is very real.
Yeah.
I think I have to give it a 90%. The more we've talked about it and the more brilliant I think it is. And as we discuss this stuff. So I think I'm going to bump it to tied with Terminator 2 at a 90%. I think it's an incredibly produced and directed and acted movie. It's long, but I don't think it feels that long. I actually think it's one of the shortest long movies I've ever watched.
Sure.
So yeah, I'm going to give it a 90% and say that I think it's very good. Go ahead.
Interesting.
Oh, yeah. She's trying to play hardball. I know she liked it, though. I know she liked it.
Well, should I read my thing and then end it with... I'll read my review and then end it with my percentage?
I think so. Unless there's any other scenes or acting talk that you'd like to get into at this point.
No, I hit all of them. Sweet oboe solo, crooner at the wedding, and the sick bodyguard. Those were my 3 I wanted to talk about.
I kind of liked how Marlon Brando ends up dying. He ends up dying playing with his grandson.
Oh, his grandson, yeah.
Running through the garden with an orange in his mouth or whatever, acting like a monster. And then he has a heart attack.
Yeah. He's a family man.
He's a family man. And he dies in like a really nice way. Like he dies of a heart attack, you know? With his grandson.
With his grandson onlooking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure. Really nice. All right, here's my review.
Okay.
It's not personal, it's business.
Oh, no.
But this is a good movie I cannot refuse.
89%.
Oh, get out of here.
I don't know if we've ever been this close.
Whoa.
Ever.
I almost made it the same score. I bumped it at the last second.
I know. I was listening while you were telling me that.
Hey, did you guys hear that?
Did you guys hear it? Rewind it. Ty says 89, and I just said 89, and then you bumped it to 90, but we're in sync on this film.
Wow.
We're in
This
sync.
is probably the most in sync we've been.
Yep. I think we should make out. Is that what your face was?
No, I was thinking of an NSYNC song to sing, but I didn't want to sing Bye Bye Bye, even though that would work for the end of the podcast.
I gotcha.
So that's where I was, and you were like, let's make out.
Let's make out.
All right, crew. We will see you next week
Yes.
with a little Godfather Part 2. And we'll see if it holds up to Godfather Part 1.
Here we go.
What do you think? Pronostications. Do you think you'll like it more or less the same?
Unless I don't know that Brando's in it unless they have flashbacks, and so that might kill it for me because I love Brando so much.
Because you think Brando's super hot.
No, it's not the hot. He's just so good.
Oh.
He's so good in this.
Before we go,
Wait.
piece of bonus information.
Yeah.
Brando was 49 when he filmed this.
Wow.
Yeah, he doesn't look 49.
Wow.
Right? Yep. They aged him up big time.
Did they?
They actually. Well, I'm gonna save this. I'll save it for something later.
Okay.
But there were talks about having him like play younger and stuff. Anyways, but we'll get into it when we talk about Godfather 2. I promise.
Very good.
Get ready for it.
All right. Toodles.
All right, Rach, say something quick. Say something.
What?
Say something.
Oh my God! What? I'm
Do
done.
it.
No. What?
All right, Rach, go. Say something. Say something. Say something now.
And we're back. Welcome. How was that? Was that a better take?
That was good.
Okay.
Hold on, I'm gonna start recording. So a cold open means that something's sad?
I mean, typically,
I thought it meant like there's just like no planning. It's called a cold open.
Oh no, I think it. So like after the election when Hillary lost,
Yeah.
like there was a cold open for SNL, which was just Kate McKinnon dressed up as Hillary playing Hallelujah on the piano. That's a cold open.
Okay.
Does that help?
Sure. I just thought it was like no planning, guys. We're just gonna go out there and just talk off the cuff. Cold open.
Like a
We're
cold,
going in
like
cold.
a cold read.
Yeah, like a cold read.
Cold open. Is this a cold open?
I don't know. You tell me. Now I'm very confused.